Have you ever felt mentally exhausted from overthinking things? Concerns about your family, your finances, your health? Maybe your mind is constantly racing, asking, what should I do? How can I fix this? It feels like a relentless cycle, a mental space completely filled with worry. But what if there was a way to lighten that burden? The answer might lie in a simple yet profound shift, learning to think more loosely, to live a little more freely. Now, when I say live loosely, you might think it sounds like an excuse to be lazy, but that's not the true meaning at all. To live loosely means to focus only on what is truly important and to stop letting yourself be swayed by the unnecessary. When you let go of your attachments and rigid expectations, life becomes surprisingly easier. If this idea resonates with you and you're searching for more wisdom to find calm in your daily life, consider subscribing to our channel for more ancient teachings that address modern challenges. Interestingly, this very idea was taught centuries ago by a Japanese monk from the Heian period named Kūkai. He taught the importance of valuing this present moment, right here, right now. He understood that when we worry too much about the future, or drag the weight of the past behind us, we lose sight of what truly matters. That's why accepting what is right in front of you is the key to a peaceful mind. The wisdom of KuKai can teach us how to live with more ease. In this video, we'll explore the teachings of this ancient master and discuss why learning to think more loosely can radically improve your life. If you want to let go of those painful thoughts and live with more freedom, I invite you to stay with me until the end. KuKai's teachings contain the wisdom to release our attachments and live more simply. A core concept of his is something called Sokushin Jobutsu. This is the idea that you can attain enlightenment in this very moment as you are. So many of us believe that to be happy, we must first achieve something significant or reach a special status. We tell ourselves, if only I had more money, or if my family relationships were better, or if I was just healthier. We imagine an ideal version of ourselves waiting somewhere in the future. However, KuKai taught that you can find this profound sense of peace and understanding right now, just as you are. In other words, simply accepting this present moment is what lightens the heart and simplifies life. There is no need to excessively worry about the future or regret the past. True happiness is found by concentrating on what is right in front of you. KuKai also emphasized the importance of letting go of attachments. There's a saying, "Bon no soku bodai," which means that our worldly troubles and afflictions are themselves the seeds of enlightenment. The problem isn't that you have worries, it's how you perceive and handle them. When you find yourself overthinking something, it's crucial to pause and ask, is this truly worth my mental energy? Living loosely doesn't mean you stop thinking. It means you choose what you think about. It's about not getting caught up in the trivial and instead focusing only on what matters. This is the essence of the wisdom KuKai shared. But why do we tend to make things so complicated for ourselves in the first place? The truth is, if we could think more simply, our minds would be much lighter. Yet we often get caught up in unnecessary thoughts, allowing our worries to snowball. This is often due to a thought habit created by years of experience and our environment. One of the biggest reasons we overcomplicate things is that we are bound by the idea of how things should be. Especially as we get older, thoughts like, I should do this, or I must not do that, become stronger. This happens because as we gain experience and responsibility, the fear of making a mistake or failing grows. Take money, for example. It's natural to think, I must save diligently for retirement, or I shouldn't waste money. But if this mindset becomes too rigid, you can start to feel guilty just for spending money on things you enjoy, robbing yourself of joy. In relationships too, a rigid belief that I should treat my elders this way, or my family should be this way, can make it impossible to accept others as they change, causing friction and strain. One of KuKai's central teachings is the importance of letting go of attachment. What you release is often more important than what you gain. This applies directly to our thought patterns. A primary reason we get stuck in complex thinking is that we are trapped by the attachment to how things must be. In other words, failure isn't just a negative outcome. It's a source of learning, a catalyst for personal development. We overthink because we feel an immense pressure to choose carefully to avoid any chance of failure. But if overthinking leads to inaction, then nothing changes anyway. Kūkai taught that the most important thing is to live in the present moment. Instead of fearing future failures, it's far more valuable to choose what you can do now and to cherish that moment. Finally, we are often pulled back by our past experiences. Thoughts like, I failed this way before, so it will probably happen again, or I was hurt in the past, so something similar is bound to happen, can prevent us from trying new things or forming new relationships. But past experiences are just that, in the past. Your actions today are what will shape your future. This connects to Kūkai's teaching of Sokushin Jobutsu, which emphasizes that this very moment is what matters, and that your present self is creating your future. It's not wrong to remember the past. However, by realizing that while you cannot change the past, you can change your present mindset. You can begin to free yourself from the habit of overthinking. It's important to understand that living loosely is not the same as being lazy or careless. It's not about thinking nothing at all. It's about not being imprisoned by unnecessary thoughts and instead, focusing on what is truly important. To live more loosely is to be mindful of three things: choosing what's worth thinking about, distinguishing between what you can and cannot control, and valuing your own time instead of focusing too much on others. First, let's talk about choosing what to think about. If a person tries to think deeply about everything all the time, their mind will burn out. Trying to perfect every single detail or considering every possible option only creates more confusion and anxiety. That's why it's so important to be selective with your thoughts. A classic example is health. There's so much information available about health that if you constantly try to figure out the correct answer, your anxiety will only increase. Should I cut carbs? Do I really need to start weight training? Is this supplement actually effective? When you try to find the one perfect answer among countless options, you become more lost. As a result, you might end up doing nothing and feeling even more stressed. The key is not to find the best choice, but to make a better choice for yourself right now. This ties back to Kūkai's concept of Sokushin Jobutsu, the idea that enlightenment is not in the future, but right here, right now. This can be interpreted as, instead of chasing a perfect future, it's more important to choose the best you can do in the present. The same applies to health. Instead of deciding on the single right path, it's enough to choose what you can do without overwhelming yourself. A little more exercise, being mindful not to overeat, cutting back on staying up late. These small, consistent steps will make a huge difference in the long run. Second, learn to separate what you can control from what you cannot. You simply cannot control everything, yet we often waste our energy thinking about things we have no power to change. For instance, you can worry endlessly about family problems or societal issues, but you cannot change another person's feelings or the direction of the world. It's far more beneficial for your peace of mind to use that time on something meaningful to you. Kūkai's teachings on letting go of attachment are crucial here. It's about differentiating between what you can and cannot do. Ask yourself, am I spending my time and energy on something that is ultimately out of my hands? Is this something for another person to decide? This perspective can help you shed unnecessary worries and cherish your own time more. Third, value your own time instead of constantly focusing on others. Your own life is more than enough to keep you busy. However, without realizing it, we often get caught up in worrying about what others are doing and waste our precious time. This could be getting worked up over neighborhood gossip, getting swept up in celebrity news and public scandals, or constantly worrying about what other people think of you. But other people's lives are their own to figure out. Worrying about their words and actions won't change your life. You'd be far more satisfied with your days if you focused instead on how you want to live. Kūkai, through his teaching of Sokushin Jobutsu, explained that enlightenment isn't in the past or future. It is in this very moment. It is vital to bring your awareness to your present self. One of the best ways to lighten your mind is to stop being distracted by the actions of others and start thinking about how you want to live your own life. Even if you understand that living loosely is important, you might still struggle with how to do it. After all, long-standing habits of overthinking aren't easy to change, but by applying Kūkai's wisdom, you can gradually begin to ease your mind. Here are 3 practical ways to start. First, Bring your focus to the here and now. Our minds are prone to getting trapped in past regrets or future anxieties. If only I had done that differently. Or, what's going to happen next? When your head is filled with these thoughts, you can't enjoy the present. Kūkai's teaching of Sokushin Jobutsu is the key here. The idea that enlightenment is found not in the future, but in this very moment. Concentrating on the now is the secret to a calmer mind. For example, when you're eating a meal, instead of worrying about the nutrition facts, try to simply savor the taste of that one bite. When you're out for a walk, instead of focusing on the exercise benefits, just feel how pleasant the breeze is on your skin. These small shifts in awareness can create significant mental space. Second, say, "Oh well," out loud. People who have a habit of overthinking tend to take things too seriously. But in reality, with the passage of time, most of the things we worry about become insignificant. Remember the concept of bon no soku bodai? It means our worries can be a source of growth. We can never completely eliminate our problems. That's why it's so important to learn to just let them go sometimes with a simple, "Oh well." For instance, if someone says something that bothers you, instead of endlessly replaying it in your mind, wondering why they said it, just saying, "Oh well, it's not worth my energy," can make you feel instantly lighter. The trick to living loosely is to stop letting your worries grow bigger in your mind and sometimes just let them drift away. Third, be kinder to yourself. People who worry too much about others are often incredibly hard on themselves. They think, "I have to try harder," or "I should be better," and this kind of thinking can lead to mental anguish. KuKai believed that being compassionate with yourself is the first step toward being compassionate with others. If your own mind has no room to breathe, you can't be kind to anyone else. It's important to stop pushing yourself too hard and to acknowledge your efforts by saying, "This is enough for today." It's okay to rest when you're tired. It's okay to only do what you can. Accepting yourself as you are right now is the first step to living a looser, more relaxed life. But what if you do all this, and you still can't stop overthinking? You try to focus on the present, you try to say, "Oh well," you try to be kind to yourself, but the habit is just too strong. This is precisely when Kūkai's teachings can offer deeper solace. Here are 3 perspectives to help you ease your mind when you feel stuck. First, know that everything changes. This is the Buddhist concept of Shogyo Mujo, or impermanence. Many people who overthink believe that their current worry will last forever. They feel, "Until this problem is solved, I will suffer endlessly." But think back on your life. Are you still worrying about the same things that consumed you a year ago? Often, problems that seemed so serious at the time naturally fade away. From your future self's perspective, you might look back on today's worries and wonder why you were so troubled. Nothing stays the same. Your current suffering will also change its form. Just knowing that this feeling won't last forever can make your heart feel a little lighter. Second, think of your mind as the weather. In Buddhism, the mind is often compared to the sky. There are sunny days and rainy days. Sometimes a storm comes. But no matter the weather, it eventually passes. People who overthink tend to believe their current emotional state is permanent. But your mind, like the weather, naturally shifts. You can think, "Right now it's a cloudy day, so it's natural that I'm overthinking." But it won't be like this forever. Just having that thought can create a sense of emotional space. If you're suffering from overthinking right now, try to see it as a cloudy day. And instead of trying to force the sun to come out, it's important to just get through the cloudy day as it is. Third, ask yourself if you're trapped by an unanswerable question. There's a Buddhist concept called mushotoku, which means not trying to attain or grasp everything. Overthinkers often get stuck pondering questions that have no definitive answers. What would have happened if I had made a different choice back then? What do they really think of me? What is the right thing to do with my life? These questions have no absolute answers, but the more you think, the deeper the hole you dig for yourself, because an answer never comes. The key is to recognize this is a question without an answer, and then decide to use your time on something you can actually do now. Adopting this mindset will gradually soften the habit of overthinking. Finally, It is crucial to understand that living loosely is not the same as being reckless or irresponsible. It's not about abandoning thought, but about choosing what to think about and releasing the weight of unnecessary mental baggage. There's a fine line to walk. For example, some people here don't overthink and jump to the extreme conclusion that they shouldn't think at all. But living without any thought is just another way of being careless with your life. If you decide you don't need to worry about your health and indulge in binge eating and drinking, you'll likely regret it later. If you just say, "oh well," to all your responsibilities at work or home, you'll create real problems. Kūkai's teachings include the law of cause and effect. Our actions today create our results tomorrow. Living loosely doesn't mean ignoring the future. It means not being paralyzed by anxiety about it. It means valuing what you can do now. The key is balance. Not thinking too much, but not thinking too little either. There's also a big difference between saying "oh well" and "whatever." The phrase "oh well" can be very effective for stopping overthinking, but it has a completely different meaning from "whatever." "Oh well" is an attitude of accepting the flow of things while still doing what you can. "Whatever" is an attitude of treating things carelessly without any thought for the consequences. Consider a relationship. If someone says something that hurts you, thinking "oh well" can help you not to dwell on it unnecessarily. But if you think "whatever," you might treat the entire relationship carelessly and risk severing an important connection. Kūkai's teachings emphasize harmony. You don't need to overthink every interaction, but treating them all with a "whatever" attitude can negatively affect your own well-being. It's important not to confuse these two mindsets. Ultimately, to live loosely is to cherish the present moment. Practicing this can lighten your heart and reduce unnecessary stress. But it doesn't mean that anything goes. It means valuing the here and now. In his teaching of Sokushin Jobutsu, Kūkai explained that enlightenment is not in the future, but in this very moment. Instead of sacrificing the present for the future, living the present with care and attention is what naturally leads to a better future. That is the wisdom Kūkai passed down. So, instead of throwing everything away with a "whatever," it's important to value what you can do right now. You don't have to change everything at once. Starting today, just try to be a little more conscious of letting go of overthinking. Your life will begin to change, one small step at a time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What is one small worry or rigid thought you plan to let go of this week? Share your experience in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel